Today we're going to talk about your setup as far as the width of your stance when it comes to your driver. Okay, so before we get too much into that, you need to understand how your hips work based on your stance width. So if you tend to have a really wide stance, okay, most of the time if you actually transfer your weight, it's really hard to move that much forward to get onto the front foot. So you got to make sure your stance isn't too wide. If your stance is too narrow, you could start swaying your hips. Okay, and it can have the same bad result as if your stance is too wide. So when you stand, if you draw a line straight down from the outside of your hips, your feet can be a little bit wider than that. Try not to make it too wide because you don't want to get stuck on your backside, because players who get stuck on their backside tend to hit it high and right. Okay, so kind of play around with it. Everybody's going to be a little bit different too. There's no perfect way for you to have your stance width. Okay, everybody's going to play different. You're going to see maybe like an Adam Scott who tends to have a wider stance versus maybe like a Snedeker who might have a little bit more of a narrow stance. Okay, it's what's preference for you, what helps you hit the ball the best. Now when it comes to your ball placement, there is a specific place where it needs to be. So when you stand up to it, you got to make sure that that ball is off of the inside of your left foot. Okay, if you play it back in your stance, the club doesn't have enough chance for it to square up. The ball tends to go right. Too far forward, the club has a chance to close down a little bit more, so it could go left. So for those folks who tend to slice it a little bit, you might try putting a little bit more forward in your stance. It might help you close that face down a little bit more, so it might straighten it out a little bit more. Okay, and if you're a person who snap hooks it, you could try playing it a little bit further back and see if that delays the closing of the club face. All right, so those are just some simple ways for you to try to adjust how you hit the golf ball. All right, adjust your stance width so it works best for you, and then when you go out there, kind of put it to the test and see what works best. But the general idea is the stance width is a little bit wider than the hips, and the ball placement is off of your front foot.